Witamy widzów kanału Spożywcza TV, portalu hurtidetal.pl oraz agronomist.pl. To jest program Gabinet Spożywczy, a jego dzisiejszym gościem jest pan Stefan Tichomirow, CEO Perfetti Van Melle Poland. We are happy to have you here in our studio.
I'm very happy to be here. Thank you for the invitation, and I'm looking forward for the talk.
A rozmowę przeprowadzą Michał Siwek, BNP Paribas Bank Poland,
Dzień dobry Państwu.
Polska, i Wojciech Szelong. Witamy serdecznie. So let's start. Perfetti Van Melle is a company which produces and distributes confectionery and chewing gum in more than 150 countries, and you are a global leader with such brands as Mentos, Chupa Chups, Frutella, Alpenliebe, and many others. 3 years ago, you signed an agreement with to acquire Mondelez International Chewing Gum business in North America and Europe. 3 years later, what's the impact of this signature on your business in global terms and here in Poland? I mean, financial results and your offer for Polish customers also.
Okay, so the deal was effective in October 2023. And as you mentioned, included the gum business of Mondelez in North America, including a factory in the US and the European gum business with the factory in Skarbimierze in Poland. So this deal strengthened the leadership of Perfetti Van Melle in the gum business in some markets like Greece, Denmark, Spain, among others. And in 2024, the total PVM group sales grew by a high double digit, and that would not have been possible without this acquisition. So that was a very significant contribution. Now, when it comes to Poland, in terms of our offer to the Polish consumer, we have not changed the portfolio yet. We are working on it, and when it will be ready, then we'll be able to
recognize it,
to talk about it. But on the production side, now we have state-of-the-art production facility in Skarbimierze, and for sure we will want to use this as a local asset also.
Let's talk about, let's say, the market conditions. We are experiencing high inflation rates for recent years. Of course, it has impact not only on the food industry, but on other industries. But let's focus on your business. How do you cope with the increasing cost of the raw materials? But of course, it is not only raw materials, but energy, that's cost of transport. How were you able to deal with it, and how much you were able to pass to the consumers those prices, those increase on the prices?
You know, like any manufacturers, we had to face increase of labor cost, energy cost, raw materials, transport. And the main way to address that is to optimize operations, minimize cost everywhere we can, also including containing the purchasing price from our suppliers. But we have not changed the grammage of our products in Poland. So a Mentos roll was 14 drażes, 38 grams, and it still is. And a Chupa Chup Classic was 12 grams, and it still is. Now, if we have to, then we put a price increase to the final consumers, but we try to do it as little as it's possible.
Polish consumers, as probably everywhere in the world, are becoming aware of the composition of the products they want to buy and the way they want to pay for it. Over 30% of them say they are willing to pay more for a product that is more friendly for environment. There is a need of new look for producers, so we have to think about ecology and sustainability. So what's the impact of those trends on your activity, again, in global terms and also in Poland?
There are two aspects. One is about sustainability, and the second is about also consumers looking for products which are have a more nutritional value. If we talk about sustainability, people declare that they are ready to pay more for products which are produced in a more sustainable way or packed in a more sustainable way, but actually their behavior is not confirming what they are saying. And it is actually a big challenge for food producer that we have to address sustainability, but we have to bear the cost of our actions, because the consumer, despite declaration, is not willing to pay more for this, at least in sugar pocket confectionery. So we still do it because it's the right thing to do. It's the core strategy of the company, and we do everything we can to limit the impact we have on the environment. So we do several things. First of all, we reduce carbon emission. We transition to more sustainable packaging. We source more responsibly, and we advance also on the social impact. And being specific, for example, in 2024, some of the achievements. We had our carbon emission reduction targets approved by the Science Based Targets initiative, which is a major milestone if you want to commit to the Paris Agreement. We have in Poland and in all Europe paper stick in our lollipop, so we substituted the plastic stick with the paper stick. We have also introduced paper bottle on gum bottle in quite a few markets in Europe. So we do a lot of very specific initiatives, and we have very clear targets. Now the second point, which is nutritional benefits. Now we sell two types of products, the so-called regular sugar confectionery, and we sell products with added value, nutritional added value. It can be vitamins, so we have gums with vitamins. We have also Chupa Chup mini lollipops with vitamins. It can be vegan brand. Mentos roll is a vegan product, and Frutella is fully vegan brand. It can be portion control. We have mini Mentos, we have mini lollipops, we have Frutella, which is single packed, and then we have also sugar-free. The whole Mentos range of gum is sugar-free, but we have also sugar-free lollipops. But let's not forget, people buy our products mostly for the fun and the pleasure. So we give them the opportunity to make a conscious choice, being fully aware of what they are buying and eating.
Let's stick to the trends and generation. I would like to ask you about the Generation Z, because those guys are already shaping very much the market, I would say, especially in categories you are producing. And from your experience, how do you assess their declarations that they are more aware what they are buying? They are buying products which are representing their values, that they understand those values and would like to stick to those values. How important is Generation Z to your company, and how do you have, let's say, adjusted communication to this Generation Z consumers?
First of all, we sell mass market products. So we sell products, we try to address every consumers in the category. That means basically all the Polish population except the young kids. However, Generation Z is our core target group because of the age of these people. And they are specific, first of all, because they are native digital. And digital tools are very important. They are shaping their way of life. They expect that we deliver them pleasure, taste, and that what we do is good for the planet. We do everything we can to fulfill their expectations. However, how they consume, what they consume, does not differ, at least in our category, from the other consumers. In terms of communication, because they are digital natives, we really use mostly digital tools. Linear TV, traditional TV is very small, for example, in the media mix of Chupa Chup, because our consumers are not in front of their screen. So what we do is we target our communication to these consumers where they are. So most of the time they are on their screen, but they are also on the go, and they are in the shops. So we need to catch them in these circumstances. And then the media and the content is very specific. A TikTok campaign, an Instagram campaign is a very different content than a TV campaign. So it is really tailored to this target group. And in that sense, that makes marketing interesting, because this is changing all the time.
And the whole confectionery market in Poland is close to 20 billion. It was 6.3% higher than a year ago. Half of it is cakes and biscuits, 3.9 million, pralines, 3 million, and chocolate bars, also 3 billion. The biggest value increases were in chewing gum, muesli bars, and chocolate bars. First question is, this value of the market is because of consumers or because of prices and inflation? This is first one. And another one, how do you deal with these figures? These were figures about the whole market. What about you, especially, of course, in Poland, in those categories: chewing gum, candies, lollipops?
Okay, so the growth basically is a few percentage if you look at total market, and if it's price or volume driven, it depends on the category. For example, in gums, it's price driven. The volume growth is very limited. Chocolate will be price driven. So it really depends. When it comes to Perfecti One Ml Polska, we have increased our net sales in gums by 24% and in sweets by 20%. So we had a very good year.
But you mean volume or prices?
Net sales.
Net sales. Okay.
And what is important is volume-driven growth. So if you compare to benchmark, it's quite important in the long term because you need volume growth. Price growth, when it's needed, yes, but in the long term you need volume growth. So we had a very good year in 2024.
Especially for which product? Which was the number one last year?
No, the best seller is Mentos.
The
best seller is Mentos, and it's has always been doing well, and there is still a lot of potential for Mentos, which is one of the iconic global brand in confectionery.
Now let's move to the sustainability/ESG section. Let's call it this way. And you already mentioned some of your actions towards the sustainable transition. But I would like to ask you now about, let's say, your challenges towards not only production but also packaging, because single-use packaging dominates in the confectionery business. And the question about how consumers are willing to pay for the products with more environmental package, because I would say we very much resonate with the packaging which is plastic. However, the reality is, as you already mentioned, a little bit different. Are they willing to pay for this more sustainable packaging?
So as I said, the reality is consumers are not ready to pay an extra zloty or whatever to have a more sustainable packaging. They really love the idea, they fully support the idea, but they want it to be free for themselves. So it's a challenge for the manufacturers, but it's a challenge that we are responding to through the paper stick, through the paper bottle, and basically we do it because it's the right thing to do. Every producer, food, non-food, will have to propose more sustainable packaging solution. So, for example, for 25, we have some specific targets around the 3 R's, so reduce, recycle, and recover. So we have the target to reduce the quantity of plastic per ton of edible products by 15% by the end of the year. This is compared to 2017 baseline. We have to eliminate 5,000 tons of non-recyclable plastic. This is total group. And then ensure that 100% of the consumer packs have a disposal indicator on the label. So even though the consumer is not willing to pay for it, there is still a lot we can do to go into more sustainable packaging. Now we also now working on the targets for 2030, and we also working on the so-called life cycle assessment. So it gives the complete picture of the environmental impact of the product, including carbon emission, sourcing raw material, waste generation, ease of disposal, or recycling. So we really look at it in a comprehensive way, and we come to a practical solution.
So you have already started to talk about goals of 2030. It's based on science-based targets initiative. What are specific goals for your company about it, and what are biggest challenges you are going to face, you think?
Okay, so by 2030, Perfetti Van Melle Group is committed to reduce emission, scope 1 and 2, so operations, by 42% compared to 2021. And also to reduce emission related to supply chain, so scope 3 by 25%, and scope 3 forest, land and agriculture by 30%. So there are very, very specific goals to be delivered. And to do that, the company is focusing on different areas, mostly generating renewable energy. So installing, for example, solar panel on all the manufacturing sites. It's about purchasing low carbon green electricity wherever it's available. It's about implementing efficiency initiative. For example, in Poland, we buy our classic lollipop from the factory in Spain, and we have introduced intermodal transport. So instead of having a truck going from the factory to our warehouse, it goes from the factory to train station, to the train station in Spain, to a train station close to a warehouse, and then only the last tens of kilometers are done by its truck. It takes more time, it's more expensive, it's less flexible, but it's the right thing to do. So we do it because in terms of emission, it has a very big impact. And we have identified that for a commercial operation, the inbound transportation, so scope 3 is where we generate the most emission.
I would like to stick also, because I would say congratulations for your ambitious goals, firstly. And I would like to also, in the context of the omnibus, because we see some, let's say, pushback towards making the reporting, let's say, more relaxed, and take into account the new proposed, at least it's still proposal, the new thresholds for reporting. Are you going to stick to your targets, or you are, from the reporting perspective, taking this omnibus into account to somehow slow down your efforts towards net zero?
In terms of reporting, we fulfill all obligations and regulations. So as you mentioned, the omnibus package for the time being is only a proposal from the Commission, and it has not been approved by the European Commission. So for the time being, we continue the preparation of the so-called annual integrated management report, which is due in 2026, which is in line with the Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive. And if the omnibus package goes into light, then we will comply with the omnibus package.
However, I understand that you have your let's say internal goals, and you are very much committed to it. You have calculated the impact, you have the solutions. So I would say that's the most important part of your efforts, not the reporting for reporting, I would say.
Exactly, and we have also our internal reports. For example, in PWM Polska, we make an internal carbon footprint report. And that's why, for example, we have identified that the inbound transportation is where we generate the most emission, and this is where we are going to put efforts locally to reduce the emissions.
I have the questions also sticking to the sustainability, because as we already agreed, ESG is not about, and sustainability is not about the reporting, but it's about, let's say, part of the new business model, new resilient business model, and long-term value creation. So from you already mentioned plastic issue, how to deal with it. What are the other aspects of the transformation you are struggling with? And if you can share with us how much you are advanced with the transition of your business.
Okay, I would not say we are struggling. I would say it's challenging, because it's really a transformation of the way of doing business. First thing is sustainability is one of the core 6 values of the company. So in the 6 guiding values which every employee should be inspired and follow, we have sustainability. So it's the responsibility of each and every employee to do its best, of its ability to make this sustainability agenda integrated in the business. Now, sustainability is embedded in all the functions. For example, okay, in operations, we mentioned reducing the carbon footprints, but there is also reducing water usage. That's also an important element. The commercial function, the R&D, and the quality functions, they are working on making more sustainable packaging solutions. So now, when we develop a new product, then, okay, what does it mean in terms of sustainability? It's part of the brief of the product development. And then in procurement, there is a dedicated team to make sure that we can source in places which are more sustainable and more responsible. So it's really throughout the whole organization, and there is a very strong governance of sustainability. At the top, there is a steering committee with the top executives of the company, and they give the strategy and the advice, and they make sure that everything is in place, that we move forward to this agenda, even if it's difficult, because it's really critical.
Changing the topic, let's talk about e-commerce. We have a dynamic development of it. How have you managed? Is it important for you first? If so, how have you managed to adapt it to your business? What part of your sale is connected with e-commerce, and what is still, let's call it, traditional?
Okay. So e-commerce is really big and growing very, very fast in Poland, and consumer buys a lot of things on e-commerce. Food a bit less, impulse food, even less. So basically, e-commerce for us is a small channel. There are two main reasons. First, the price. The price online is above the price in the stores. And also the delay between purchase and consumption. I want it now, and I will pay what I need to pay just to have it now. And Q-commerce is supposed to address these two barriers because it's supposed to deliver you very quick, and because you can source the place you buy, potentially you can also buy cheap. But this is still in the making. It has not been overly successful and did not have such a big impact so far. So e-commerce is moderate channel in in our business. The impulse business is specific in that numeric distribution is important because people need to be able to buy the product where they are in the street and they want to have this product. Nobody is going to take a car to buy a lollipop, and you know most of the purchases are done by people who are walking in the street and feel they want something, or going to the checkout and feel, okay, I could do with the Mentos, or the kid says, okay, I could do with the Chupa Chup. So it's a specific purchase behavior. Now, this being said, discounters is still the biggest channel for our category, and it's still growing because in Poland you have something which is very specific, is you have so many discounters that you can have price and proximity. You can have both. In many markets, if you want to go to the discounters, you need to take the car. So it is very specific. And the other channels are the ones which offer some proximity, like supermarkets, large and medium food stores.
Another strong trend in the retail market, which are private labels. They are growing. Still, Poland has a lower share of the private labels versus, let's say, European average. However, it is growing. How do you feel the pressure from private labels in your categories? I mean, in confectionery business, if you can share with us, what's your view on that? And particularly in your business, do you see the strong competition from the private labels?
I will share with you the numbers for Nielsen 2024. So private label in the chewing gum category is 1.2% market share. And it's not growing. So you have the answer. In sweets, it is 14%. It is more or less stable. And a lot of the private labels are in the jellies category. So it's sizable, but it's not so big. The thing is, in sugar confectionery, the global brands, they have unique features which cannot be reproduced. And let's speak Mentos. There is no private label substitute for Mentos. And for our competitors, there are also no substitute because they are so specific. So the direct impact is there, but it's not so big. But there is also the notion of share of stomach. If you buy a pack of cheap jellies or half a kilogram of cakes at weight and you eat them, it is very unlikely you will have appetite for a Mentos roll because your stomach is full. So this is indirect competition, but it exists.
But it's not the private label itself, right? Like other categories has the challenge. It's something.
It's indirect.
Different context.
It's share of stomach, share of your pocket money. You spend it on there, you don't have it for something else.
Business nowadays is unpredictable, even more than before, because the world is unpredictable at all. But as the company and you as CEO must have some plans for next years. So what are the goals for for your company and for yourself in Poland for future?
Growth, simply. You know, Perfetti Van Melle is a very agile company, and the business environment has been difficult at least since COVID. So we're talking 2020. So it's already almost five years that it's difficult. But we have been growing very, very nicely despite all what happened. And this is still the agenda of the company. And if we look at the market share in gum and in sweets, there's still quite a room to go. There is. So how we will do that? First of all, we need to have perfect execution of our commercial plans in the stores. We need great innovation. We need great communication. We need to have constructive relationships with our retail partners. We need to have engaged employees, which we have. And then we also need to have, generally speaking, keep a positive impact on the business and the environment in which we work. So there is quite a lot to do. My ambition is to deliver on all this very long agenda and keep growing. That keeps me busy every day, day after day, year after year, and let's keep moving.
Thank you so much. Naszym gościem był pan Stefan Tichomirow, CEO firmy Perfetti Van Melle Poland. Thanks a lot once again. Rozmawiali Michał Siwek.
Dziękuję uprzejmie.
I Wojciech Szelong. Kłaniamy się nisko. Do zobaczenia.